my dear students, myself Gangadhar Sonke, and I welcome you all to the MCGM's virtual classroom. My dear students, today in Standard 6th Geography, we'll be learning the topic rocks and rock types. So in this topic, we are going to talk in detail about the types of rocks and the distribution of major rocks in Maharashtra state, or we can say distribution of major rock types in Maharashtra. So here in our textbook, this figure 7.1 is given, and on the basis of this image, by observing this figure, you have to answer the questions which are given. So the first question: what is the hill in A made up of? Now here, this one A in the figure 7.1, you have to answer this question. What is the hill in A made up of? जो A में hill दिख रहा है वो किससे बना हुआ है? Then the B, what is being done in B? What is being done in B? And third question, what do we see in C? Now, in figure 7.1, image A, B and C. In first one, the question is what is the hill in A made up of? What is being done in the image B? And what do we see in image C? Two more questions. Is there any relationship between the three things shown above in the figure 7.1, A, B, C? So, is there any kind of relationship between the A, B and C? And the last one, for what purpose do we use things shown in A and C? Now the things which are in the image A and in the image C. So for what purpose do we use these things? So this one C, especially we use this for the decoration or the kind of decorative work. Now you people just go through these questions, observe the pictures and try to answer the questions. Now here, as you people already learned in the 5th standard, that the Earth's crust is hard. Earth's crust is hard and it is made of rocks and soil. Here this one is the crust of the earth and which is made of rocks and soil. Now rocks which are found on land surface and below it. Try to understand it. Rocks which are found on land surface. Land surface पे भी हमें देखने को मिलते हैं और land surface के नीचे भी. Like here in the earth's crust. Here you can see below the earth's surface rock. So rocks are found on land surface and also below it. So the question is, what is rocks or what are rocks? Then the rocks are mixture. Mixture of what? Mixture of different minerals formed by natural processes in the lithosphere, not because of any artificial thing. ये natural process है जिससे rocks बनते हैं and which is mixture of different minerals. अलग अलग minerals का mixture होता है, फिर उस पर natural processes होती है and then we get rocks. And this process happen in the lithosphere. The properties of rocks depend on the constituent minerals. Constituent minerals means जिससे वो रॉक बना है उस पर डिपेंड करता है कि उसके कैरेक्टरिस्टिक या प्रॉपर्टीज क्या होंगे. The properties of rocks depend on the constituent minerals and their proportion, whether it is 100% or 50-50 or 70-30, whatever it is, but it depends on the proportion of the constituent minerals and as well as on the formation process. By which process particular rock is formed depend on that. The property of rock is depend. Now next thing, silica, aluminium, and iron are the major rock forming minerals. 3 rock forming minerals which are major, that is silica, aluminium, magnesium and iron. There are other minerals too in different rocks. इन्हें छोड़कर ये जो 4 है, silica, aluminium, magnesium and iron, these are the major rock forming minerals. किसी भी रॉक की फॉर्मेशन हम देखेंगे तो उसमें ये होंगे ही. ये बेसिक और मेजर रॉक फॉर्मिंग मिनरल्स है, बट there are other minerals too in different rocks. So keep in mind silica, aluminium, magnesium and iron. Types of rocks about which now we are going to talk. In this, the first one, igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks and metamorphic rocks. Now igneous rocks may be known as primary rocks. So igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks and metamorphic rocks. Now one by one we'll study this in detail, and the first one here is the igneous rocks. When the molten material which is known as magma within the crust, molten material known as magma within the crust and lava on the surface. Two things, magma within the crust and lava on the surface cools down, it solidifies, giving rise to rocks, and these are known as igneous rocks. Now here in the image you can easily understand this. Magma within the crust, and lava on the surface. So extrusive igneous rocks cool quickly, and as a result these rocks are fine grained or has lack of crystal growth. Intrusive igneous rocks are formed from magma that cools slowly, and as a result these rocks are coarse grained. So one thing which we have to keep in mind is that whenever we talk about igneous rocks, then it is the formation, or it formed because of the magma which is within the crust and lava on the surface. Now as these rocks are formed out of the material from the interior of the earth, these are also referred to as primary rocks, and mostly these rocks appear hard and homogeneous. So these are heavy as well, and we do not get fossil in these rocks. So if we go for the examples of igneous rocks, then granite is an example of igneous rocks. Here you can see the Maharashtra plateau and the Sahyadris. The Maharashtra plateau and the Sahyadris are formed out of igneous rocks. Basalt is a major example of igneous rock, and for this you can go for these images. People just observe it carefully. Most of the hill forts, these all are the hill forts. So most of the hill forts in Maharashtra have lakes or elephant yards. and these are old quarry sites. Rock was extracted from the sites and used for what? The construction of the fort and other buildings. So in the pits and dots left behind after rock extraction, water was allowed to accumulate and these lakes, tanks, etc. were created. Now the next type, sedimentary rocks. Due to continuous variation in the temperature, rocks develop cracks. As we know, there is variation in the temperature, and because of this, rocks develop cracks. And when rocks develop cracks, the water percolating through rocks dissolves the soluble minerals. जो भी soluble minerals होंगे water की वजह से क्या हो जाएंगे? Dissolve हो जाएंगे. And this leads to the weathering of rocks, and they get disintegrated or decomposed. That is, they get reduced to pieces, like here you can see cracks, you can easily observe. So one after the other, layers of sediment get deposited in this way. The upper layer exert heavy pressure. This upper layer exert heavy pressure on the lower layers, and this leads to compaction of material and development of sedimentary rocks. So this is how sedimentary rocks formed. In the formation of sedimentary rocks, variation in the temperature plays an important role, and also the water which goes into the cracks of the rocks. Here now one can easily see layers in the sedimentary rocks, like here, layers. And while layers are getting deposited, the remains of dead animals or plants get buried in these layers at times. And therefore, one may find fossils in sedimentary rocks, and sedimentary rocks are generally brittle and lightweight as compared to the igneous rock, which is heavy. Most of them are porous. Here on the screen, you can see the images of sedimentary rocks. This one, fossils of animals and also of plants. The buried remains of dead animals or plants become subject to heavy pressure. और इससे क्या होता है? The impressions get marked in the rocks. जैसे अभी समझने के लिए देखिए यहाँ पर, this is looking like mosquito. ये अगर उसमें दब गया तो उस प्रेशर की वजह से क्या होता है कि उसका इम्प्रेशंस वहाँ पर मार्क हो जाती है. At times, the buried animals or plants get petrified, and these are called fossils. The study of fossils provides information about the life in that period. Now, next to the primary rocks and sedimentary rocks, next type is of metamorphic rocks. But before that, on the screen, you can see the Red Fort near Jaipur city in Rajasthan. Red sandstone is found, and this is a type of sedimentary rock. This rock was used for the construction of the Red Fort at Delhi. आपने ये टीवी पे 26 जनवरी 15 अगस्त को दिखाते हैं, यहाँ पर जो हमारे प्रोग्राम्स होते हैं मिलिट्री के, गवर्नमेंट के, तो ये रेड फोर्ट दिखाया जाता है. तो ये रेड फोर्ट जो है पूरा बनाया गया है रेड सैंडस्टोन में. This rock was used for the construction of the Red Fort at Delhi. As sandstone is relatively soft, it is easy to carve in it. Now the next one, metamorphic rocks. The crystals in the original rocks get recrystallized. Now because of what? Volcanic activity and other earth movements constantly take place on the earth, and while these are occurring, the igneous or sedimentary rocks in that region are subjected to tremendous pressure and heat. Now because of this, it leads to changes in the nature as well as the chemical composition of the original rocks. And then the crystals in the original rocks get recrystallized. This means the rocks get metamorphosed. Again, I am repeating, metamorphic rocks. What exactly happens? Because of the volcanic activity, it leads to the chemical composition of original rocks changes in the nature as well as the chemical composition of the original rock. उससे क्या होता है? The crystals in the original rocks get recrystallized, which means the rocks get metamorphosed. The rocks formed through such a process are called metamorphic rocks. The rocks formed through such a process are called metamorphic rocks, and these rocks do not contain fossils. These rocks are heavy and hard. Now to study this in detail, this table is given in our textbook, and by studying this table you people can easily understand the process of metamorphosis. Now here, type of rock in the first one, igneous. Original rock, granite. And metamorphosed rock, that is gneiss, you can see here. Igneous, then the basalt and amphibolite. Sedimentary rock, limestone, that is marble. Sedimentary and coal, that is diamond. Sedimentary and sandstone, that is quartzite. Sedimentary and shale, that is slate. So this is how rock get morphosed or metamorphosed, we can say, और उससे एक नया टाइप जो है रॉक का हमें मिल जाता है. Next one, in this, these rocks are heavy and hard. Heavy and hard. Coal gets metamorphosed when it undergoes heavy pressure. कोल अगर हेवी प्रेशर में जाता है तो मेटामॉर्फाइज होता है with if there is intense heat. So coal gets metamorphosed when it undergoes heavy pressure and intense heat. After coal gets metamorphosed into diamond, its price increases. तो पहले ये था कोल, फिर ये बहुत सारे हेवी प्रेशर में गया, इंटेंस हीट भी उस पर हो गई, तो इससे बन गया डायमंड. तो अगर हम डायमंड और कोल की प्राइस कंपेयर करेंगे तो डायमंड की प्राइस कोल से कहीं ज़्यादा होती है. वी बर्न कोल while we use diamonds as ornaments. So this is what is the difference between the coal and diamond, or we can understand here how diamond formed. Examples of metamorphic rocks here you can see on the screen. Rock that was once one form of rock but has changed. एक फॉर्म है ऑलरेडी रॉक का, but it has changed to another under the influence of heat, pressure or fluids without passing through a liquid phase. So these are the examples. And the very famous now on the screen, the Taj Mahal at Agra is built in marble, and marble is a metamorphic rock. This rock was brought from mines in Makhrana in Rajasthan. How we get marble? Sedimentary and limestone. This one again, Bedaghat. One realizes while taking a boat ride in river Narmada through Bedaghat or in Madhya Pradesh that the river has cut its gorge through marble rock. At sunrise, sunset, and during full moon nights, these river banks present an enchanting scene. It is very beautiful. And now the map, figure 7.5, given in our textbook, is of distribution of major rock types in Maharashtra. So here what you have to do, list the districts in Maharashtra where rocks other than basalt are found. This one, for that you can refer index. This one is the basalt, everywhere we can see. Then the granite, little bit darker. Then the laterite, here the Sindhudurg, and sedimentary in the Nandurbar, Jalgaon, parts of Amravati and Akola. But everywhere in Maharashtra, including Raigad, Ratnagiri, Satara, Sangli, Kolhapur, Ahmednagar, Aurangabad, Wasim, Yavatmal, everywhere we can see basalt rock. The basalt rock formed out of volcanic eruption has spread over a vast region of our state. And granite rock, this one, here in the Gadchiroli and in some part of Nanded, granite, which is found in the eastern parts and in South Konkan. Then the laterite, which is found in South Konkan, particularly in the district of Sindhudurg. Because of thick and extensive layers of basalt, Maharashtra does not have large reserves of mineral wealth, and therefore mining activity is concentrated in South Konkan and in eastern Maharashtra. क्योंकि जो मेन दिख रहा है हमें हर जगह पर बेसॉल्ट, वो थिक और एक्सटेंसिव लेयर उसकी होने की वजह से हमारे पास ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा पार्ट ऑफ महाराष्ट्र में does not have large reserves of minerals. But where we find this? In South Konkan and in eastern Maharashtra. So now this was all about the rocks and rock types. In our today's topic, we people learned about the concept of rock, or we can say the things which are related with the rocks and the types of rocks, in that igneous rocks or primary rocks, sedimentary rocks, metamorphic rocks, and the table where we can understand the formation of metamorphosed rock, and on the screen now distribution of major rock types in Maharashtra. Now questions in the exercises are given based on this, and the very important and the basic question, find the differences between igneous and sedimentary rocks. Now you people have to compare and find out the difference between the igneous and sedimentary rocks, also in between the sedimentary and metamorphic rocks, and in igneous and metamorphic rocks. Please subscribe the channel and press bell icon to get notifications. So my dear students, this is all for today. Thank you very much. Stay home, stay safe, take care.